Okay, in this video, I am going to be reviewing an episode of The Amazing World of Gumball. But the thing is, there were tons of episodes that I could have chosen from to review. The signature, the console, which was the first episode I ever saw, the choices, the grades, the founder, which was another really good episode, but I decided to review the episode The Menu. And yeah, it is weird that I would choose a parody over a deconstructionist episode, but this was my choice. So the episode starts with Richard sleeping until he hears something from literal miles away that wakes him up. We then get a montage of Richard running through people's houses, literally crashing through their walls, tearing up the neighborhood. He ruins Mr. Robinson's fishing trip. Richard then runs on the road so fast that he's moving at 200 miles per hour and breaking the speed limit. Jumps over an unfinished bridge, makes it halfway and then falls, and then runs up the canyon wall right next to the unfinished bridge, until he arrives at his destination, the Elmore Mall, where his son Gumball and his adopted son Darwin are talking about the secret burger at Joyful Burger. And the force of Richard's, everything we saw in the montage comes crashing in through the giant hole Richard made in the wall off-screen as he entered and tackled Darwin. He was literally moving so fast that the force of his movement pulled everything around him that wasn't bolted down along with him until he stopped running. Gumball then tells his dad about the secret burger at Joyful Burger and the legend behind it. Richard states that he had been searching for this burger his entire life, and then Gumball brings up the obvious problem that to get the mystery burger, Richard would have to know its name, which they don't know. So anyways, they go to Joyful Burger, where Richard attempts to trick Larry into giving him the secret burger. But as it turns out, Richard didn't drive far enough and was not speaking into the intercom, so he tries that same trick to Larry's face. Richard's trick was pretending that there was static interfering with the intercom, which turned out just to be a plastic image of the mascot. And he tries the trick anyways, which Larry interprets as, one burger, just open it up and spit on it. Larry hands the burger to Richard, who is really disgusted by what he just got. Richard was about to eat the burger that Larry just spat into, but then Gumball grabs it and throws it out the window, and then tells Larry that their father wanted the secret burger. And then Larry asks them what the name of this burger would be, because he knows it exists, but he can't tell them. After hours of Gumball guessing the name of the secret burger, and believe me, he makes some really good guesses, and when he goes into more mysterious, we get nods to some really good conspiracy theories, as some of Gumball's guesses include the Illuma Patty, the Area Beefy One, and the Builder Burger. So anyways, after they leave Joyful Burger, Richard pays Gumball and Darwin to get jobs at Joyful Burger because he's too lazy to do this himself, and tells them that since they won't give the name of the mystery burger to anyone, Gumball and Darwin will have to become the ultimate employees of Joyful Burger. And like in the episode The Bet, Richard pretends that being lazy is a disease. And I like the scene where Gumball says, "You've reached a whole new level of laziness. You've just invented the reverse job." Then we get a second montage of Gumball and Darwin working at Joyful Burger and getting promoted. And then we get this news bulletin about Gumball and Darwin being really successful business tycoons, and they're on the cover of a magazine called Fraud, and that is kind of funny. And then we see Gumball and Darwin being interviewed about how they just sold their stock in Joyful Burger and made a ton of money. And then we see Gumball and Darwin being interviewed about how they just sold their stock in Joyful Burger and made a ton of money. And when the reporter asks them how they got the idea to go into fast food, Gumball tells him that it started when their father wanted to try the secret burger at Joyful Burger, and then realizes that they got distracted. That night, Gumball, Darwin, and Richard sneak into Joyful Burger, knock out Larry, and then they tie him up to interrogate him. Then we get this funny bit where Larry tells them that there's no point in disguising their voices if they're not wearing masks. Then we get the funniest scene in the episode. Bergie here is clearly a parody of Ronald McDonald. And Gumball, Darwin, and Richard then torture Larry by making it look like Bergie is enjoying the competitor's food. it stops getting funny when they try to torture him by showing him how chicken nuggets are made. And Richard tortures Larry by breaking off Bergie's fingers. And the joke is that he's screaming as if Richard was busting his finger. And then Richard tries to eat Bergie's fingers, and when Larry says that he can't do that, he says, anything is edible if you deep fry it long enough. To which Richard then actually does try and realizes that he was wrong. Larry then cracks and tells Richard that the secret burger does exist, but in order to be deemed worthy to know its name, you must, or in this case, Richard must eat one burger from every joyful burger in Elmore in the time span of 1 hour. So then we get somewhat of a montage of Richard, Gumball, and Darwin going to all the joyful burgers in Elmore, ordering a burger, eating it, and going on to the next one. But then the episode gets into a little bit of gross-out humor when Richard's body starts producing sweat made out of lard. Eventually, Richard has eaten so many burgers that, well, he's gotten fatter than usual. In fact, he gets so fat that a button pops off his shirt and slams into a building hard enough to remove an entire story from it, complete with sound effects and all, as if this were something out of a video game. Eventually, Richard gets so fat that he has trouble getting through the door at Joyful Burger, and eventually can't fit into his car. So to fix this dilemma, the show goes for another gross-out gag by bringing back, well, not bringing back the sweat made out of lard joke, but making it sweat made out of cheese that they can use to rub on Richard's body to use as a lubricant so they can help him get into the car, as in slip him through it. In a way, Gumball and Darwin, for a brief moment, become stand-ins for the audience. I don't know if they just tossed that into the script or whether or not it was intentional, but Gumball asks their dad if that was really necessary. Did he really need to tell them what it was, instead of just saying, push me into the car, just trust me on this. We're able to push him into the car, and Gumball asks him if he really needed to supersize that last meal, which is actually a really good statement, as they're doing this with a very small time limit, 1 hour. So, if anything, Richard should be only ordering kids' meals for this one. And then the tires gave out because of Richard's immense weight. And to Richard's terror, they now have to move on foot. Which is painful for Gumball and Darwin. But like Darwin said, that's the beauty of mega chains destroying their neighborhood. there's always a new one popping up. And Richard's thighs then rubbed together so hard that they apparently caused friction and started a fire. And Darwin did think it was their dad burning calories, but no, it wasn't. At the second to last Joyful Burger, they actually do that. They instead order a kiddie meal, and Richard almost ate the toy, only for Gumball to look at the box and realize that there's more nutritional value in the toy than the kiddie meal. So, the joke is that eating the toy would be healthier than eating the burgers and fries, even if it's in the smaller variety. And with saying that, Gumball then feeds his father the toy, which I think could have been a My Little Pony doll. And here they are. They're at the last Joyful Burger. And it looks like Richard's about to have a heart attack. Richard falls to his knees and crawls in. Well, it looks like he's about to have a heart attack, because that's exactly what's happening. Richard is then able to climb to the counter and prove to Larry that he ordered and ate a burger from every Joyful Burger in Elmore within the 1 hour deadline. And then as he slams it on the counter, his body moves as if it was made of Jell-O. How he's not dead yet is chalked up to the fact that this is a cartoon, and this show is aimed at kids. And you couldn't have the father of the main family die of a heart attack on a kids show. And then Larry tells Richard that he's earned his prize, the secret burger, fittingly named the MacGuffin. Larry opens the box and the MacGuffin glows as if it was the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Richard says that it's like this sandwich is made of light, but then Gumball points out that it's just the lights in the Joyful Burger reflecting off the MacGuffin itself. And possibly hints of Richard's imagination and potential hallucinations based on the unhealthy eating he did in 1 hour. I said those last two things, not Gumball. But what Gumball did say is that the MacGuffin is just an ordinary burger, but grosser than usual. And the episode ends in a weird twist of fate, well, an ironic twist of fate, as Richard has eaten so many meals from Joyful Burger that the MacGuffin won't fit, and, well, it won't go down his throat. He can put it in his mouth, but he can't get it down. His body has already been filled up with so much fast food that Richard can't swallow the one burger that he spent this entire episode trying to get his hands on.